From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Chris Terrell Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell, and welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now, don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, by the way. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all of those things that created the results in my life, and if I wanted to get new results, I was going to have to change all 6 of those things as well. And if you want to get new results in your life, you're going to have to change all 6 of them too. And now I'm here each week helping you get the same results in your life. The same results of becoming thin. Not just losing weight. No, you could lose weight and gain it all back. That's not success. Success is becoming thin. That means losing the weight and keeping it off. This is something that's just going to go on and on and on and on. Something I did not know in the beginning of the journey that I learned somewhere along the way, and it really got solidified near the end, is when I began to realize that there was no end, that this journey just continues on. That has always been a part of the problem in the past. A part of the problem in the past is I thought there was a finish line. There's a point when I'm done. And so I could do something miserable because I was never signing up for it forever. I was signing up for the miserable thing until I was done losing weight, at which point I would go back to doing what? What was I going to go back and do, right? I wasn't going to keep doing the miserable diet. No, I was going to go back to some version of what I did before. I was going to go back to some version of my lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems. And honestly, I usually left my belief systems intact, on hold, in park, under the surface as I did all these temporary changes. And of course, my permanent problem came back because I only did a temporary solution. And you're going to have to do that on your journey. You're going to have to begin to look at an old problem in a new way. You're going to have to stop looking at the old problem with the same old solutions. Because if they would have worked, they would have worked by now. I know that many of you, not all of you, many of you, the reason that for your lack of success is not been for a lack of effort. Many of you have put forth a tremendous amount of effort towards losing weight in the past, only to find yourself continually back where you started, or maybe even higher, just to add a little insult to injury. And so, as you progress forward on this journey, you will regularly come to these old problems presented in a new way, and you will be faced with a choice. Do I handle this the old way, or do I handle it a new way? And this is going to require resourcefulness. This is going to require a willingness to think outside the box. It's going to require you to potentially even change your belief systems, to change what you think to be okay or not okay. It's going to cause you to pause, reflect, and question your own logic. Maybe, just maybe, the thing you believe to be true isn't actually true. This belief that you have that carbs are bad, what if that's not real? What if that's not true? This belief you hold that you must eat healthy foods all the time to lose weight, that in fact it's the healthiness of the food that matters. What if that is not exactly true? What if you're missing the nuance? And it's that nuance that you're missing is causing the chasing of healthy to sabotage your weight loss. And I know some of you going, because you've not heard me talk about this before yet, how could eating healthy be sabotaging my weight loss? Oh, there's so many ways that eating healthy could be sabotaging your weight loss, and you don't even know it. So before we dive into the topic, as we're going to dive in deep into the concept of rewards on a weight loss journey, I'd like to invite you to come join my free Facebook group. You can find a link to that by going to christerrellcoaching.com. And I would also like to invite you to check out my YouTube channel. You can head on over to YouTube, type in Chris Terrell Coaching in the search box. I'll be one of the first ones, probably the first one to pop up at the top. And I go live there every Monday morning. And I would love to have you join me for a live stream where we take questions. We build a great little community even there. And if you have been interested in getting into a room full of dedicated and committed people, well, then the Guild of Champions is the place for you. And if you are interested in joining the Guild, the doors are open, but they are about to close. In fact, if it is a week after this podcast is published, the doors are already closed. The doors are closing in just a few days. So if you've been thinking about joining the Guild and you're beginning to feel that feeling right now, how hard weight loss gets this time of year, well, head on over to theguildofchampions.com and you can learn all about the Guild. Now let's talk about the concept of rewards on a weight loss journey. Have you ever caught yourself saying the phrase, "I deserve this," as you reach for a treat, a salty or sugary treat? Let's talk about this phrase, "I deserve this," and how it's probably holding you back. And we need to understand this so that you can understand how to shift it. Now, the reason where I'm getting this from is I've actually, in my guild, I'm now doing a monthly survey where all guild members can report in to me and submit to me their progress. And I stayed up late into the night and got up this morning and I read them all. And it was a lot to read and it was awesome. I loved it. I loved hearing from you. And one of the questions I asked, though, was what is an excuse that you have been using most frequently in the last 30 days? And I got hundreds of responses. And I went through them, highlighted it, looking for common trends. I even exported the information into Excel and used some tools that I have to analyze the data there. And one of the common trends, I could spot it from reading it on my own, but the analysis also revealed this, is that many people are using some variation on the theme of "I deserve this." Now, the last 30 days included the holidays. It included the holidays, which means more treats. It means more snacks. And many people are reflecting back on their positive changes they've made over the year. It's, in fact, a tremendously easy period of life to use the phrase, "I deserve this." So let's explain why this is dangerous for a moment. One reason, we're not going to have time to get into everything today, but let me tell you the story of the Andes mints. How many Andes mints have you had in the last week? I'm sure some of you listening have had some, but I find by and large when I talk to people about this, the answer is I've had none. And, unless you've been to Olive Garden, you probably haven't, right? I don't usually have them unless I go there. But I love Andes mints, and so many people love Andes mints. So if you haven't had any in the last week, have you even wanted any in the last week? And most people, when I ask them this, they're like, no, I don't want any right now. I haven't even thought about it. Okay, great. Do you think it's likely you're going to have any this week, this upcoming week? And the person's like, maybe now that you've mentioned it, I might seek it out, but honestly, probably not. I'm probably not going to have any. Okay. So now, if I were to come into your house when you were gone, we'll set aside how creepy that is, and I have a big, gigantic bowl of Andes mints, and I just set that bowl of Andes mints on your counter or on your dining room table, somewhere where you're going to walk by it frequently throughout the day in a common area of the house. If I were to do that, what are the odds that you would have just one of those Andes mints? And when I ask people that, almost exclusively the answer is, oh, I would have one. Yeah, I would have one. Oh, great. Me too, probably. So I must now ask you, that one you would get, would you get it because you wanted it, or would you get it because it was there? You see, far too often we're actually picking the thing that is easiest. And we see it there. It's sitting there. It's calling me. It's taunting me. It's tempting me, just like many of the treats did over the holiday season, calling you, taunting you, tempting you. By the way, in case you don't know this, if your food is talking to you, like you actually believe your food is talking to you, you need to go see a special doctor that's going to give you happy pills and make you feel better because you crazy. Food don't talk. It's not supposed to be talking when you're eating it. It's supposed to already be dead. So just note that it's you talking, right? So what do you mean it's me talking? That's right. It's you talking. It's not the food calling you. It's you saw the food. You decided, a part of you decided you want it. And now the inner 2-year-old inside is going, what have I got to say to get mom to tell me yes? What do I got to say? What do I got to say? And we all know how the little children does it. Mommy, I just love you so much. You're so pretty and beautiful. You just make me so happy. You're the best mom in the world. Can I have a pony? It's silly. Look, my stepdaughter's learned that she can do this to me. She 100% can get up all sweet, and it totally makes it easier to get a yes out of me. It's like, gosh, dang it, I'm so manipulatable. I mean, I let it happen, but I don't let it happen because I don't do anything to stop it. And so what would food? I got this inner 2-year-old inside me. It's like, oh, come on, man. Think of how hard you've worked. Think of how good you've been. You've been so awesome on your diet. You've lost 15 pounds. One won't hurt. You deserve this. You deserve this. You should have some. It'll be fine. But you see? And then you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. I do deserve this. I'm going to go have some. And you have some. And you eat it. All right, and it worked. And you know what? Your brain was right. One wouldn't hurt. One, in fact, would not hurt. I don't have issues that you had one, right? You can have one of anything, and it won't mess up your journey. One cinnamon roll is not going to be the thing that makes or break your journey. It's 50 cinnamon rolls in 2 months that'll do it, right? It's not one cookie that's the problem. It's 15 cookies every 3 days. That's the problem, right? So when you use the I deserve this card, you basically tell your brain, well, as long as we pull the I deserve this card, I'm going to have some because I deserve this. And so you'll just fire it off. So here's what my advice, how to handle this. Well, let's go back to a conversation I had with my sister many years ago when I was on my journey that really, really hit me. It was really important. We were talking about treats. I was, because I like to model people that have always worked taking care of their body to see what they've learned. And I was talking with my sister about treats and rewards for doing well in weight loss. And she said something, she was being silly, I think, but I didn't take it silly. I took it serious. Not like I didn't take it personal. Like I was like, oh, I think there's a deeper lesson here. I'm going to really take this to heart. So it'll make sense when I say why I needed to add that disclaimer. But she said, we're not dogs. We don't need treats for a job well done. And it's like, oh, gosh, never thought about it that way. I'm like a freaking golden retriever looking for a treat. Look good. I sat. I deserve this. I have a treat. Where's my treat? I sit so good. Where's my treat? Like I realized like, shit, I've been a freaking golden retriever with food. So we're not dogs. We don't need food for a job well done. But damn it, sometimes Chris Terrell wants a treat. He wants to feel like he deserves something. I want my Scooby snack. Well, so what I discovered on my weight loss journey that I had to do, and that many of you are going to have to do, you need to shift away from food-based rewards and shift to non-food-based rewards. I got no issues that you want to reward yourself. When you're thinking to yourself, oh, you've done so good. Look at all this progress you've made. Oh, you're so awesome. You deserve to have a reward. That's fair. But you don't deserve to reward yourself by adding food. Like if you want food, you don't have to earn it. If you want a cookie, just have a damn cookie. You don't need to be good to earn a cookie. Just have one. Just put one in. Just have one. It's fine. Don't have 15. That's a problem. But one. Just have one. Right? No biggie. But when you be like, oh, I deserve this, you're turning it into an emotional eat. You're ruining it. Stop ruining perfectly tasty food and just eat it. If your family's having some mac and cheese and you want to have a little mac and cheese, just have a few bites. If you just want a few bites, just have a couple bites. It's not the end of the world. Now, if you're on a weight loss journey and your calories are kind of low, you might need to log those couple of bites just to make sure they're not getting away from you. Because the downside of I deserve this, the downside of a couple of bites is in the moment, the person only thinks of this one. Oh, well, only one won't hurt. But you're setting aside the fact that you've used the I deserve this card 12 times in the last 7 days. And I don't know if you've noticed, 12 is more than 7. That means some days you're using that excuse more than once. Oh, only one won't hurt. Here's how I think of this. I think of it like the ATM days. You still remember the ATM days where we used to like regularly go to the ATM to get cash? I remember those days. Those days were kind of fun. But if I remember learning when I first had a car and had an ATM and had a job, if I wasn't careful, I could $20 myself right out of my money. I could just constantly go pull $20 out of the ATM for walking around money. And then next thing I know, I'm out of money. right? You had to really watch those $20 and be really mindful, because when it was in the bank, it added friction to spending it. When it was cash in my pocket, it was easy to spend it. And when it was a small amount, it didn't feel like I was spending that much. And so I realized I needed to look at rewards with my food as like the same thing. If I'm not careful, I'm going to reward myself right on out of a deficit. And then if I'm still not careful, I deserve myself right up into a surplus and gain some weight back. Well, ain't that sort of annoying? It's like, oh, you've done so good. You've made so much progress. Let's ruin it. That's a great present. Let's ruin it. That's what you've done. You've earned the right to eat cake, and it won't make you fatter than you were before. That's your treat. What? That's a stupid treat. Just have some cake. Don't add any guilt and shame with it, and then move on. It won't be a problem. Because, look, there is a side of you that wants a reward. That's okay. So what are some good non-food rewards? Well, there's literally a limitless number of them. And what is exciting for one person will be dull to another. But what I'll do is I'll tell you some that I've done in my life. One of the rewards I started doing with myself was clothes. I lose a certain amount of weight, I reward myself with nice clothes. Think about it. I could reward myself with a really nice dinner for $35, or I could reward myself with a really nice shirt for $35. Right? The dinner I get to eat, and then that's it. The shirt I get to keep wearing. Right? Okay. I started rewarding myself with beauty products, even as a dude. Yeah, like nice soap, nice shampoo, nice razors. I started upgrading my products that way. And before I knew it, I realized I'm like, oh, actually, I really like this stuff. I started rewarding myself with things for my house, my apartment. I was living by myself, and I looked around one day and I was like, this place is kind of sparse. I'm like, you know what? I've done really well. I've worked really hard. I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to go to Target. I'm going to give myself $200 and I'm going to go spend it on things for my apartment. I had the $200. That would be stupid to do that for debt. Do not reward yourself with debt. Do not reward yourself with a credit card. That's not what I'm saying. You do not have a seal of approval from me. Do not go into debt for rewards. That's stupid. That's not smart. Don't do that. So that means you can't afford it. So you can reward yourself with a certification to increase your ability to earn money, so that you can have money to go do it. But anyway, I had done that, right? I had to downsize my life so that I could just go spend $200 at Target, right? I'm going to go on a total side tangent here. Do you want to know the key to feeling comfortable financially and just breathing easy at all times? It's learn to live below your means. Learn, like whatever your income is, have a little left over at the end of every month. If you can do that, your life is going to be so much better. You are going to sleep better at night if you can have a teeny bit left over at the end of every month because you're living below your means. The challenge is that's going to probably require you to say no to people, because life will take. And you got to say no. You got to say no to friends, to family, to your kids, to yourself, to your spouse. You got to say no. Right? But when you keep the income in check, oh gosh, it's just the best. All right, let's get back to what we're talking about. So, but you can reward yourself with monetary things, right? One of the things I started doing that became tremendously rewarding is I would reward myself with trips. Every 3 months, if I had done well, I'd go on a weekend getaway, a weekend trip to do something. And I'd keep it economical. That was part of the fun, was to keep it economical. Because as I was losing weight, I still remember I had lost enough weight that I could fly on Spirit Airlines comfortably. You got to lose a lot of weight to fly on Spirit Airlines comfortably. And then I discovered there's no such thing as flying Spirit Airlines comfortably because I'm on Spirit Airlines. So good grief. I'm surprised they don't have a quarter dispenser next to the tray table so you can put a quarter in there to flip it down. Not that it counts as size much. It's about the size of a cell phone. But man, that airline will nickel and dime you. However, I did do it. I lost enough weight and I flew Spirit Airlines, and I remember thinking, I am comfortable. I could cross my legs sitting in a Spirit Airlines seat. Blew my mind. But I just remember thinking, like, I have just unlocked cheap travel. Like, I have just unlocked it. I could travel in a very uncomfortable way because my body fits in it comfortably. This is a wonderful reward. I will reward myself with travel. I started rewarding myself with fitness gear. I started rewarding myself with fitness clothing, right? You know, an Under Armour shirt could be like $80, $70, but it's awesome. I love my cold weather gear Under Armour shirts. I love them. But I've probably got $200 in cold weather gear shirts and under the leggings stuff. And but those are rewards. A nice gym bag was another thing I did. I have I have two. I gave one of them to my stepson, but I have two $100 gym bags. And I love these bags. I love them. They were such a splurge. They were so fantastic, but they were a wonderful reward to myself. I bought them years ago. They're still as good as the day I got them. Turns out better quality gym equipment lasts. Go figure. But I digress. I started rewarding myself with, what else did I start rewarding myself? Oh, all right, this is a big one. Camera gear. So I would reward myself with camera gear because I was like, but I also had to use it. So it was a mix of losing weight and going out and using my gear, going out on hikes, getting my photos printed, really getting into photography as a craft. And that was wonderful. But these are examples of rewards that have nothing to do with food. Nothing to do with food. And you could do whatever you want. You can make things little. You can do it like you get to go buy a book. I've done that, right? I get to go buy a book. I've done it where I get to buy myself a coffee, really, really nice. I'll go get myself a coffee for the day and it's in my calories, right? It totally fits. I'm not getting a indulgent coffee. I'm just getting my regular sugar-free skinny vanilla latte from Starbucks, but I usually don't get the big one. Was it the venti? I don't usually get the venti. I usually get the medium one, the grande. And so I'm going to reward myself by just getting the venti. It's not that much more calories, but I'm still getting my regular lower calorie version of it, just a slightly bigger size. So I don't have any issues, even that you are adding some food in there. The challenge is when you're a one-trick pony and the only way you have of rewarding yourself is with food. If that's the case, I think you need to go on a no-food reward ban for like 2 months. Just ban it for 2 months. You can bring it back after that, but just ban it so that way you're forced to come up with something new. You're forced to come up with some other way of rewarding yourself without food because necessity is the mother of innovation. So create the necessity. Create the necessity. Now, something else that really helps, though, as a form of reward that I think is you need to understand the need behind the choice of picking food for reward. And I think sometimes what it is it's a self-care, right? I need to eat. I want to eat. So I'm going to take care of myself by giving myself something tasty and delicious because I love myself. Now, some of y'all, you got to remember harming yourself is not loving yourself. So at a certain point, the food that you're giving yourself, you're now harming yourself and it's no longer self-love, it's self-harm. So just know that food has the ability to be both. But let's look at the side though, where we are using food for self-care in a reasonable way. Well, why don't you just swap that out for other self-care? That's where I discovered buying myself beauty products. Nice hair products. I now buy this pomade that's really expensive. Why? Because I started rewarding myself with nice products like that. I told myself now I get to go to a really nice barber. I remember the first time I spent $50 for a haircut. That seemed crazy to do that. But again, you got to remember, I used to spend all this money on food. So it's not like I was still spending all this money on food and I was spending the money on this other stuff. No, I was not spending as much money on food. I was even spending money on these rewards. I was saving money. I spent so much money on food. I mean, just so much money on food. I love it how people love to throw in the smokers' faces, how much money you'd save if you stopped smoking? And they'll total it up. Well, let's throw that in your face. Do you know how much money you'd save if you stopped eating all your money? I did. I learned that. I saved $800 a month. I used to eat $800. I used to eat $800 a month in unnecessary food. That's just ridiculous. So, when you really stop and think about it, that humbled me when I first started realizing I was doing that. So why don't you do that? Figure out your slice of the food, of the food buds in your house. How much of it is because of you that you eat? Yeah, it's easier to figure that out when I was single, though. So it was pretty obvious when I did it. And when I would go down and I'd look at because I do budget, and I would see how much I was spending going down over the course of time. And I was like, wow, I used to eat a lot. So, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap up here. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're thinking about joining the guild, now is the chance. The doors are going to be closed, but we will open them again in the future. I don't have a date for you yet on when they will open, but you can still sneak in. You can still get part of the on-ramp program that we've began, which is my new member program, but also we are doing my calorie tracking on-ramp. It is my taking you from zero to losing some weight with calories. It's a 6-week program. We've just finished week 1. If you get in this week, you can still get caught up. It's not a problem, but after next week, you won't be able to get caught up and the doors will be closed anyway. So I'd love to have you come be a part of it. You can learn about that by heading on over to theguildofchampions.com. That's theguildofchampions.com. I'll see you next week. Talk to you later.